Hello, it's time for Combat Patrol Carnage. It's time for our final video, issue 14, and we have our latest playthrough and new rules to learn. So we're learning about different types of deployment, and we're getting to try those different types of deployment out in a mission. It's only a small mission using a handful of models, but we get to learn all about the infiltrate rule as well as deep strike, so it's pretty fun. So before we hit the table, don't forget to do all the usual: like the video, subscribe to the channel, drop me a comment down below, and don't forget to share this around with your friends and on your social medias. It helps get the channel noticed and helps push Warhammer 40,000 out there for many more to enjoy. Finally then, don't forget that Combat Patrol Carnage is proudly sponsored by warbay.shop, your one-stop supply for all your hobby needs. They have a wide selection of new and used models for various different game systems. They also stock all your painting supplies and gaming aids as well, so you can get everything you need under one shop. So check them out. There's a link for warbay.shop in the video description somewhere. And who knows, you might find your next hobby project at a bit of a discount. So let's head over to the table, we'll read our new rules, and we'll enjoy our latest battle as we put those rules to use. So here we are back with issue 14. We've got everything we need for the game. It is only a small game. Well, the Tyranids are kind of big, but they always are. But yeah, we have 5 Infiltrators Marines, only 2 Terminators, the Captain, 3 Leapers, 10 Termagants, and the 5 Barbed ones. So yeah, we'll have ourselves a little battle, but we've got a few rules to read. So I'll move this out of the way, adjust the camera, and we'll get into it. So we'll skip over the lore. And here we are. Let's have a rules read about deployment. Where a general deploys their forces can be the difference between victory and defeat. In this guide, you'll learn how to deploy your models for battles in games of Warhammer 40,000 and what to consider during deployment. Deploying your models. In games of Combat Patrol, both players get to deploy their models on tabletop as they see fit. Each mission will provide deployment zones, starting with the winner of a roll-off. Players take it in turns to place completed units anywhere wholly within their deployment zone until both players have deployed all of their forces to battle. See here an example, we've got a Tyranid deployment zone, 6 inches. There's an objective already in it. Same for the Space Marines, 6-inch deployment zone with an objective. Then No Man's Land is the area between the 2 deployment zones, so 2 more objectives, 2 pieces of terrain. Who deploys first? Before you have deployed any models, roll off. The player who rolls the highest, reroll if you have the same result, deploys a unit first. Some missions may refer to the attacker and defender on deployment maps. You'll learn more about this later. Who gets the first turn? After both players have deployed their forces to battle, you roll off again. The winner of this roll-off must take the first turn of the game. When deploying, consider that you do not know if you'll be going first or second in this battle. Deployment tips. During deployment, you will have the opportunity to shape the course of the battle to come. The choices you make at this stage can help you for the rest of the game. Deployment is a skill that will develop the more you play. But these 3 principles are always good to keep in mind when deploying your forces to battle. Threat ranges. So we've covered this before, but let's have a reminder. Consider the threat ranges of all your units as you deploy, as well as the threat ranges of enemy units. This is the distance they can attack from with their movement plus their ranged weapons range. So this example, the Tyranids have their deployment zone here. They deploy the vulnerabilized Leapers. The Inferno squad has they've got a threat range of 18. In this case, it's the Leapers that are actually putting out of range of the Infernus Marines. Objectives. Objectives are always key to victory. If you have the opportunity to deploy on an objective, you should take it. Also consider which objectives you want to advance upon and seize. Terminators are a slow-moving but durable unit. Deploying them on an objective at the beginning of a game is a good way to ensure that objective is held, rather than making them trudge up the tabletop and secure a different objective. Matching unit to unit. Consider which of your units are best placed to tackle specific enemy units and vice versa. Deploy your units in positions that will allow them to easily take out their preferred targets when battle begins. So in here, the Infernus Marines are matching up against the Termagants, as the Infernus Marines have short range but lots of attacks, and Termagants are a fairly squishy unit. But the Termagants in return can also pump out a fair number of shots, as they have 10 shots with their guns, but they have a little bit more range. Infiltrators and Deep Strike. In the 41st millennium, the line of battle is never clean. Through technology, training, and strange mutations, many warriors specialize in appearing where they are least expected, making for a devastating impact on the course of battle. In this guide, you will learn 2 abilities that affect deployment: Infiltrators and Deep Strike. Infiltrators. Units of the Infiltrators rule can be deployed much closer to the enemy army, representing an attack from a concealed position. This allows them to grab an objective early, respond to the opponent's deployment, set up for a deadly counterattack on the very first turn. Your Von Rein's Leapers have Infiltrate rule, representing their instinctual cunning of these creatures and their role as a vital vanguard organism for the Tyranid swarm. When and how to deploy Infiltrators. Using Infiltrators is simple. When the time comes to deploy them, you do not need to deploy within your own deployment zone. Infiltrators may be deployed anywhere on the battlefield 9 inches from the enemy deployment zone and any enemy models. When both forces have Infiltrators, the deployment of one unit can block the other. So during this deployment, the Leapers are placed on Objective 1, which is in the middle of the battlefield, and they are kept over 9 inches away from the enemy's deployment zone, which you can see the captain in there. You will hear some younger brothers of the chapter refer to the Von Rein's Leapers as a living landmine. This is only partly true. The Von Rein Leaper is far deadlier than a conventional weapon. Advance with incredible care when in the same sector as these creatures, for they appear with such speed and cunning that even our superhuman reactions are outmatched. Deep Strike. Some units are capable of appearing on the battlefield once battle has begun, whether by teleportation or swooping down from upon great leathery wings. Regardless of how they do it, all these units have the Deep Strike rule, which lets them be held in reserves and deployed at the heart of battle later. You already own several units of the Deep Strike ability. All your units in Terminator armor have it, as well as the winged Tyranid Prime. You do not have the Deep Strike with these units, but you will find it potentially very powerful on the battlefield. Try experimenting in the next few games with Deep Strike. When and how to Deep Strike. To use Deep Strike rule, you must declare before deployment which units are being held in reserves. These units are not deployed to the rest of your army. You may deploy them at the end of your movement phase, placing them anywhere on the battlefield 9 from the enemy units. You may not do this on your first turn. So at the end of the Space Marines' second turn, the captain deploys 9 inches away from the Barb Gaunts who are sitting on Objective 1, so that he's ready to shoot and charge them later on. We had sworn our oaths with each other as witnesses. It was time to die. We prepared our final stand. And then, before the teleport flare had faded, he had slain 3 Tyranids. It was that day I understood why mortals worship the Space Marines. Moving on to our scenario. So we have Scenario 10, Deep Strike. An overwhelming force of Tyranids has gathered to battle the Space Marines. It will take more than brute force to win this battle. The Space Marines have planned a surgical strike, utilizing teleportation. However, the Tyranids have tricks of their own to try. In this mission, you'll get to use your 2 new special deployment rules for the first time: Deep Strike and Infiltrators. The Tyranids will use Infiltrators with the Von Rein's Leapers, while the Space Marines will Deep Strike with the Captain. So this is the first time we see specific mission rules. So for our units, we have our Captain in Terminator armor, 5 Infernus Marines, and the remains of a Terminator squad of 2 Terminators. We have a rule that we must Deep Strike with the Captain in this mission. For our Tyranids, we have 5 Barb Gaunts, 3 Leapers, and 10 Termagants. And we have a special mission. You may place the Von Rein's Leapers anywhere on the battlefield 9 from the enemy models. So it'd be a good idea to set up somewhere around Objective 2. How to win. In this mission, you score victory points as follows: 5 for one objective, 5 for 2, and 5 for more than the opponent. So, over the next few pages, we've got a couple of example turns. The Tyranids are going first. So, in this example, the Tyranids have been deployed on close to Objective 2. They move to threaten Objective 3, and Termagants move to take control of Objective 2. The Infernus Marines have been deployed on Objective 4, and the 2 Terminators here. And the Barbgaunts have opened fire. So, we've got a couple of battle tips there as well for you to read and learn about. And then we have a Space Marines turn. So the Terminators move in to take on the Leapers, as do the Infernus Marines, before we learn to face off against any of this lot. So that's the victory. Right, I'll set the battlefield up and we'll get on and play a new game. So we have a couple of things to do before we start playing. So we now know how to deploy properly. So let's roll off to see who deploys first. The white, so that's Tyranids get to deploy their first unit. So I think we'll deploy the Barbgaunts, as they are a good long range unit up on Objective 1. Making sure we are, of course, in our 6-inch deployment zones. We could be a little further forward. There. That'll do. So Space Marines get to deploy the unit next. I think we'll go with the Terminators, and they'll be off camera, but they are in the corner on Objective 4. Then a Tyranid player, so we'll do our Termagants. So I think we'll do them just there, ready to advance onto that objective. I mean, they might even be within 3 inches of it to control it first turn. Just, so that's cool. Then the Infernus Marines, so we'll deploy as far forward as we can on our objective. So 6 inches puts us there, which again is just within 3 of the objectives. So finally, the Leapers will deploy. I'll use my dice tray for this. They're going to deploy behind that terrain. Again, we've got one guy that is at least within 3 inches, so he'll add to the control. And for the Space Marines, the captain must be deployed in deep strike, so he'll be off board for the moment. So now we get to roll for first turn. So again, blue for Space Marines, white for Tyranids, and the Space Marines grab first turn. So with that, we'll move into Space Marines turn 1. So for movement, the Infernus Marines have moved up to be definitely on top of Objective 3 and to get range on the Tyranids. And the Terminators have moved up slightly as well. So now move to shooting. See how many shots our Infernus Marines get on those Leapers. 5d6, so 6, 7, 10, 17. 17 automatic hits. This might be a bit better volume because I forgot my mic had fallen off and dropped down by the side of the table. So there might be a change in volume. So 17 automatic hits of the Infernus Marines, wounding the Leapers on 4s. Not very many. So that is 7. Wow, out of 17. They have the normal 4-up armor, which 3 have failed, so that's enough to burn 1 Leaper and put another one on 1 wound. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Terminators are going to open up. That might have took... Nope, they are still in rapid fire range, so 8 Stormbolter shots. I should have brought the assault cannon, guys. It didn't specify which Terminator. Hitting on 3s. And wounding on 5s. Only the 1. Single 4+ save. In the tray, please. No, still a 3. So that's another wound on the wounded Terminator. Wounded Leaper. Get it right in the end. So up next, charge phase. Shall we go in with the Infernus Marines, or do we sit back and let them come to us? I might try to Terminators though. They'll need at least a 9, well, a 10 to get straight across. Let's try Terminator charging. Ooh, that would have been enough. I get a 6 again. No, a 9. So this guy, 9 would get him within half an inch. Yes, so I can make the charge. And this guy will have to go up to there, but it gets to pile in. So the Leapers will fight first, and they'll pile in. They're 6 attacks each. Hitting on freeze for 8 attacks. Wounding, strength 5, tough 5, 4s. Only the 1. -1, so free up armor for a Terminator. He makes it. And the Terminator strike back with 6 Power Fist attacks. Hitting on freeze. That's everything. These are going to be dead. It's not double because they are toughness 5, I believe. Yes, so it'll just be freeze to wound. Ooh, one on the floor. That's a fail. That's 4. And these are -2, so they'll be down to 6s. 4 of them. I'll have to roll these one at a time because I've got a wounded guy. So the wounded one, 6+ save. 6+ save. No. He is dead because it's 2 damage a pop. And the last 3 on the other guy, 6+ is, nope, he's definitely dead. So we do see the downside of deploying with Infiltrators, at least. And with that, it's over to the Tyranids turn 1. So movement phase of the Tyranids turn 1, so we scored the maximum 15 because the Terminators have moved away from the objective 4. I forgot to mention Space Marines scored 10 points as they controlled 2 objectives at the start of their turn. So Tyranids, thanks to having 6 against 2, were able to control this objective and that objective, which is more than the opponent, so we scored the maximum 15. Termagants just moves up a little bit to get closer to the Terminators, and the Barb Gaunts are staying with the 2. So can we see? Yeah, we can just see that last guy there with those 2. But yeah, everyone else is in range. So we'll start with the small arms fire of the Termagants, so 10 shots. At the Terminators, hitting on 4s, which should be freeze at point blank range. Wow, not too bad, only missed 4. And wounding on strength 5, tough 5, 4s. 3. No minus though, so these are 2+ saves, and here comes 3 1s. Nope, 1-1. Single damage to a Terminator. Hasn't gone as well as I'd hoped. For the Barb Gaunts then, we'll fire 5d6. There's 5 models in the unit, so it's +1. So that is a lot. Be right back. 26 shots on the Barb Gaunts. We haven't moved, so these hit on freeze. Quite a few 1s and 2s. But they are strength 5, toughness 4, so also wound on freeze. Quite a lot more 1s and 2s again, sadly. That was a success. So, 4, 8, 9 saves. You always get 9 with these guys. On our Furnace Marines. They're rolling 2 at a time. So the first guy is fine. There's no minus on these. No. He's still fine. He's dead. Next one has took a wound, and the last wound saves. So 1 Infernus Marine has been wounded, and 1 has been killed. Not enough for force battle shock though, so they're still on the board. Charges then. The Termagants will try and swarm the Terminators, and they do on a 12. So we can get pretty much around them. Yeah, we can go wherever we want. So I'll do it like this. Surround them. Make them drop down. So single attack each for a total of 10. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Melee weapons aren't all that good. Strength 3. So hitting on 4s though. Only 5. Wounding on 5s. Because it's higher but not double. Single wound. Oh dear. 2+ save. Yes. Terminators will fight back with 3 attacks each. Of Power Fists hitting on 3s. Ow, only 1 guy successfully punched. Wounding on 2s. That will be no save for the Termagants, so 2 damage. So that equates to 4 dead Termagants. And with that, it's on to Space Marine turn 2, I believe. So, yeah, here we go into Space Marines turn 2. So, movement phase, no movement, but command phase, we do score 1 point. We don't score anything here because it's objective control 1 to objective control lots. 2 even to lots. So now we do the awesome deep striking. So I think our safest bet is to go over here with our captain. So you can deep strike right there on the 9. Boom. That's awesome. On to... Actually, what I could have done is move away from that objective so I can get my flamers in range. Oh well, I'm sure the captain will handle the barbed once on his own. So yeah, no movement. Shooting then. The only guy who can shoot is the captain. He is in half range because he's only 9 away. Hitting on 2s for 3. And wounding on 4s for nothing. Charge phase then. Captain is the only one to charge. Needing a 9. 7. We do get a reroll. Oh, let's change dice. Come on. No, he's failed his charge. Oh dear. He's now sat in the open. So this is the downside of deep striking. You do get close, but you do often get left in the open. Fights. So Tyranid, it's the Space Marine turn, so the Tyranids fight first for 6 Termagants, who, wow, have hit 5 times. Can they get that again for a single wound? No, they can't get that again. 2+ save for the Terminator though. It's made. And 6 attacks for our Terminators back. That's a little better, only 1 miss. Ouch, but only 2 wounds. But that is no save, and 2 damage a pop, so that's another 4 dead Termagants. These guys are definitely going to need a battle shock test in their command phase. Speaking of, it's now over to Tyranids. So, Battle Shock first, because we might not control that objective. Oh, that's a fail. They are Battle Shocked. So now we only score 5 for controlling the objective over in that corner on the barbed gaunts. It does keep us in the lead. We are 20 to 15 though. So shooting, it'll be the barbed gaunts. We'll shoot at the captain. We don't get the +1 for multiple enemies. Actually, regardless of who we shoot at, we won't get the +1. So the captain, though, we get quite a few shots. 5, 10, 14. So that's 5. I need another 9. 9 plus 5 is 14. Oop. Hitting on the freezes we haven't moved. Haven't hit overly well. Miss 6. Wounding on Shrink 5, Tough 5, 4s. Only 3. No AP though. So the captain's 2+ save. Yeah, he's saved them all. Terminators fight first. 6 attacks hitting on freeze. Only 2. This is all we need though. 1 wounding would be nice. No, 2 woundings. So that is our last 2 termagants dead. Ouch. And do we want to consolidate? Yes, because we'll still be within 3 of the objective to control it. So we'll consolidate 3 inches. Like that. That's the end of Tyranid turn 2. So on to Space Marines turn 3. First off, we'll score 15 points, the maximum, because we have 2 objectives, plus we have more than the opponents. And movement will be the captain closing in on the barbed gaunts for 5 inches, and the Terminator's doing the same. Shooting, it'll be our Storm Bolters, so the white dice will be our regular Storm Bolters for the Terminators. Blue dice will be the captains. We'll roll it all at the same because it's the same weapon. Captains hit on 2 though. And the regular Terminators hit on 3s. And they all wound on 4s, so it's Strength 4, Tough 4. Surprisingly, not a lot of wounds. 3. 3 4-up armor saves. Made 2, 1 wounded. And charge phase. And yeah, another total wipeout for the Space Marines. So yeah, it does show that we have at least seen the downsides of deploying via 2 special ways. We didn't get to see the bonus, sadly, which would be launching early assaults. But we've learnt the rules, at least. We've done it, we've tried it out. But yeah, that is a Space Marine victory. So back to the magazine, and we'll have our victory speech. So for those of you interested in victory points, it was 30 points to 25, which I forgot to mention. So yeah, complete wipeout and 30 points to 25. It is a Space Marine victory. So turn to the back page. What do we get? We get the Space Marines have survived this battle and managed to drive back the Tyranids for now. The captain and his battle brothers secure the vital resources at this site and fall back to their orbiting spacecraft. They will prepare for another teleport assault. The duties of a Space Marine permit no time for rest. So pretty cool. We do have ourselves a slight reprieve as we have no extra issues yet. So we can't go on to our next combat patrol, but we can at least see what's to come. So what is to come in the next 2 combat patrols? So issue 15 sees our big baddie for the Tyranids, the Psychophage. So this is our biggest model in the base subscription. If you're premium subscription, you do get the Hive Tyrant, which towers above this guy. But yeah, still a nice big centerpiece model for the combat patrol. Really gruesome looking model. I got a feeling we'll be learning about blending and glazing later on in future issues, as there's some nice details to pick out on this guy. But I've seen 1 or 2 videos already. The paint guide's pretty good. The tongues are picked out in pink. The rest is pretty much Tyranid standard. So black on the claws, black on the little vents at the sides, and black on burgundy on the carapace, and Wraithbone for the rest of it. So luckily we have a nice large base brush with the subscription, so I can use that. I have picked up a second pot of Wraithbone though, because mine is pretty much empty. So we're going to need that for painting this guy. So I will be doing it as the magazine says, with a brush. So I'm not going to be cheating at the moment with a spray can. I'm being good, I'm following the magazine. Speaking of painting, issue 16 then, we get 2 new paints, Mephiston Red and Swig Orange. So, haven't seen issues for this yet because it isn't out until tomorrow. I'm filming this on Tuesday the 16th? Yes, no, 17th. Tuesday the 17th is that. It should be out tomorrow, Wednesday the 18th. So, can't wait to see what we do, but I'm thinking we'll be painting the eye lenses on our Space Marines with probably both paints, actually. I'm thinking perhaps the Squig Orange will be done for the guns on our Termagants. If not, at least the Mephiston Red will help pick it out. I'll also be picking out, where is he? There he is. The red on our Sergeant's helmet. Possibly the red on the outside of our Captain's cape. As well as maybe dividing up his shoulder pads to follow the quartered design of the actual model that the paint job's done. Who knows? I'll wait and see what we get in that actual issue. Contents of the magazine wise, so we learn about Tyranid monsters, we have new fiction, we cover terrain, and we get some new data cards in this. So data cards for our last few models, so the Psychophage, Parasite Mortrex, the Chaplain on Bike, and I think that's it. Yes, because the other card on that sheet is a turn order card, which is pretty cool. A nice little reminder for us of what we do each turn. And yeah, we get 4 terrain cards, which have L-shaped terrain printed on for cover, etc. And what was the other set of cards we got? We had 3 sets of cards, I think it was. Data cards, objectives. I'm sure there was something else, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. I'll try and put it in post. But yeah, more data cards is great because it's a nice way to add stuff to the collection without needing to add models that people might not want. So yeah, more special abilities. We learn a bit more about the Ultramarines, and we put our 2 new paints to use in issue 16. So after that, 17 and 18 are the second unit of Termagants, over 2 issues again. So we'll have our second unit, which only adds to the first because we can split it from 120 down to the 210s. But yeah, we really do see the Tyranid Horde now come to its full power in this next delivery. Also in that next delivery, we do get our first premium subscription, as I mentioned earlier. We get the Hive Tyrant and we get the Brutalis Dreadnought. Hive Tyrant I will be building as a Swarm Lord, quite possibly, for my friend's Tyranid army, so he might not be painted up to the same magazine standard as the magazine. The Brutalis Dreadnought I am adding to my Crimson Fists, so it will be painted up in dark blue with the red fists of the Crimson Fists. Thank you all very much for watching. Big thank you, of course, to Warbay.shop for sponsoring the series. And that is it for Delivery 4 and Issue 14 of Combat Patrol magazine. Let me know if you've enjoyed this battle report, and let me know what you're going to be doing with your premium kits, if you are a premium subscriber. Let me know if you are adding those to your Combat Patrol force, or are they going to your own personal army, much like mine. Let me know in the comment section down below, and yeah, we'll have a little good natter. So, I'm off to edit all this together. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time for more Combat Patrol Carnage. Goodbye.